So if you're looking at homeschooling multiple kids across grade levels and wondering, how am I ever going to do this? I completely understand. And I have been there. Some days I'm still there. But just know that you can do it and it's completely doable. If you have ever wondered if it's actually possible to homeschool multiple children in the same day across different grade levels, then this video is for you. I'm currently homeschooling my third grader, second grader, and preschooler, all while chasing a toddler around and pregnant with my fifth baby. So I don't have everything figured out, but I do feel like I have found some ways to make homeschooling multiple grade levels a little bit easier over the last couple of years. Okay, so the first thing that I have discovered that makes everything a little bit more manageable while homeschooling multiple children is finding certain subjects that we can just do together. That way I'm not doing 5 to 8 different subjects with multiple children every day. So for example, we do our spelling together. We do all about spelling, and my two oldest are close enough in grade levels, they're third and second grade, that we are able to do the same level of curriculum together. And we just kind of go at the pace of whoever needs a little bit more time, that particular lesson or concept. And I've found that the more curriculum that I can find that we can do together and tailor it to each child without needing completely different curriculum, is always a huge win for us. They're both doing BJU English, writing, and grammar this year, but they're doing different grade levels. So my third grader is doing third grade, my second grader is doing second grade. However, I have found that sometimes the lessons kind of overlap a little bit. And so if I find something like that, then it's like, okay, we're going to go over action verbs together. And I'll just have out both of my teacher manuals, and I'll just kind of go with both teacher manuals and teach from both of them to kind of tailor fit their grade level. But that way we're learning it together and putting the examples up on the board together. So common nouns, proper nouns, my kids are going through that together. And so whenever I can group things together, group subjects together, teach at the same time, I do it. It saves time and it's so much easier. Once we finished our core group subjects, then I move on to their individual work, like math. So math is a core subject, so we're going to do math next. But they're at different levels and they have different curriculum. And so we have to do those separate. However, another thing I do when I look for curriculum for my kids is I try really hard to find curriculum that has practice or independent work that they can be doing on their own. Not only do I find it very helpful and a great tool to help them learn and grow, but it also helps me. If I'm sitting down and I'm helping my son with his math lesson, the actual teaching portion of the lesson, my daughter can be doing her independent practice. And that's just work that she's already learned. She doesn't have to know anything from today's lesson. She's not practicing new concepts. She's just practicing the concepts she's already been taught and is familiar with. And so she's doing her independent practice in math while I'm teaching my son his brand new lesson for the day. And then once I'm done teaching him, then we switch. Or if one child's moving a little bit slower, we need a little bit more time to go over a concept and actually teach that lesson. Or my child is moving super fast through their independent practice, they can do a subject that they don't need help with, such as handwriting. I do use a handwriting curriculum for my kids so that they have really nice penmanship. And so that's something that they can do completely independently. Reading is another one. They can sit down and start reading their book for the day. So the goal is really to help each individual child as they need and give them as much attention and as much help as they need, while the other is working on something that they can be doing on their own. That way we're not all just sitting here bored or waiting, but we're really utilizing our time well. So if one child is not done and they still need my help on something, then and the other child is done with their independent work, then they can take a break. They can take a recess. So it's a great way to just keep things moving along without stalling, but without, just making people sit around bored and waiting for mom to help with the next thing. The next thing we do once we've done all of our individual subjects, then we come back together and do the rest of our family subjects. My kids are both doing science together. They're doing the same level of science curriculum from master books. And so they sit down and they do that together. They can do that pretty independently from me, but we do discuss what they learned each day for science. And I'm there to help, with if they can't pronounce a word or things like that. And just also making sure that they're actually understanding what they're learning. Science is also a subject we don't do every single day. We do it about every other day, and we alternate between science and usually history or geography. History is another one. History and geography, we do those all together as well. So history, we come together and we read our books, Beautiful Feet, Early American History curriculum, which we've been really enjoying. And so we do that all together. My preschooler also joins us for that because he enjoys it. And so, I'll sit down and I'll read the book for the day. And all three of my kids are there and we are learning history together. And then, like I said, we alternate between history, geography, and science. So those are not subjects that we typically do every single day, but we'll do one or two of those every day. On Monday, for example, we might do all of our core subjects and then science, but no history. And then on Tuesday, we'll do history and geography, or we'll do just history. And then on Wednesday, we do history and geography, or, whatever. We're not doing tons of subjects every single day, but we are getting a good amount in every week. And so that's just kind of the way we do it. It works for us really well, and we enjoy doing that. But then we do all of those together. And even my youngest, my preschooler, he enjoys doing those things with us. So he's learning geography with us. He's sometimes doing science with us. He'll ask if we'll make copies of like a fun activity in the science book or something that he wants to do with the kids. And so we'll do that with him, and we all do it together. So for my preschooler, I don't make him do school every single day. My philosophy is kind of, they should be learning while they play. They should be learning through life and just having fun being a little kid. And so I don't put a huge emphasis on sitting down and doing formal lessons or formal things with my preschooler. However, we do Hooked on Phonics, and he loves that. And so he doesn't want to do it every single day, though, and that's fine with me. Kindergarten is when I really start, no, we're going to learn a routine. We're going to do it. You have to do it every day. We don't have to do a lot of it, but we're going to do it every day. But kindergarten is kind of more where I kind of start that. Preschool, I'm a lot more relaxed and kind of take my little one's lead. When they want to do it, we'll do it. Like the other day, he wanted to do like 3 lessons of Hooked on Phonics, and I was like, let's do it. Then the next day, he didn't want to do anything, and I was like, that is fine. So preschool, I would much rather read to them and help them, bake. I don't really want to force them to sit down and do school every day. and especially not for long periods of time. So Hooked on Phonics is great because they're short little lessons, usually take about 10 minutes. There's little videos they can watch. And so we kind of sprinkle that stuff in. So, for example, when we're doing spelling, sometimes my kids are the older two for spelling, they need to use their tablets to spell words and things like that. And so I will let the preschooler do either his Hooked on Phonics videos during that time, or I'll let him do some kind of educational app or video on his tablet as well during that time. That way he's doing something, it's fun for him, and he's learning at the same time. That's kind of what his preschool looks like, is kind of sprinkling it in throughout the day. Um, but he's not usually sitting down with us throughout the whole day. Actually, he's never sitting down with us throughout the whole day. But he will, get sprinkled on here and there. And then there's the toddler. So, of course, my toddler is probably what makes our homeschooling feel the most chaotic. Because he's very active. He likes to get into things. He likes to be a part of everything. He doesn't want to miss out on anything. And so he's also, he's learned recently how to climb out of his little play gated area. Baby gates don't hold him in any longer. And so he is definitely on the move and always on the go, looking for something fun to get into, which always keeps me on my toes and keeps things a little less streamlined than perhaps they might be if he was smaller or older. But he and my preschooler will play together. And there's also just times, I'll just be honest, there's times where I'm like, okay, we got to get this done. And things are just going crazy. And I will use screen time. We don't do a lot of screen time. I'm very picky what kind of screen time my kids have and how much screen time they have. So none of my kids get a lot of screen time. But this is one of those times where I am not ashamed to use screen time when I need to. They're not sitting down where the screen is their babysitter. It's not an everyday thing. But they do occasionally have like 30 minutes of screen time for the day, so that I can get through our spelling lesson or help the older two with their math or whatever the case may be. There are just times where I'm like, we need screen time and we need to use it. I also just have to keep in mind that it's the season of life we're in. And so we will have interruptions. There will be things that happen. There's going to be messes that are made that I have to stop and clean up. Today, my toddler came and showed me very proudly an empty tissue box that I had just put out on our dining room table. And the tissues were all over the living room. So things happen, and that's just a part of life. That's a part of homeschool life, and it's okay. So, yes, there will be interruptions, and yes, there will be times where I have to stop and where you have to stop, and we have to clean up a mess. We have to take care of somebody who's crying. We have to take care of somebody who got hurt. We might have to deal out some snacks, something. But that's just a part of it, and you just have to roll with it, and that's okay. One other thing that I have found helpful is if there are certain toys that only get pulled out during school time, so that my toddler is a little bit more distracted. Also, maybe that's during school time is when I need to put him in a playpen or something, and the rest of the day he's not, stuck inside the playpen. It's just during that school time when I really need him confined in one place so that we can accomplish the rest of our work for the day. So, what does a typical homeschool day actually look like for us? We start with our core subjects that are the most instruction heavy for me, and the group ones. So, ones that we can all do together. So, core group subjects. We start with those, and then we move on to individual core subjects, and then we move on to other individual work, and then we finish our day off with the rest of our group subjects that are usually alternating, every other day. My preschooler joins us whenever he feels like it for those group subjects. And then I sprinkle in his stuff throughout the day, but mostly do most of his actual instruction, like hooked on phonics, at the end of the day when my older two have had my full attention and their school day is over. Then my preschooler gets my undivided attention. I hope you found this helpful. And if you have any other tips or tricks or things that work for your family, please include them in the comments and share with the rest of us. We'd love to hear what works for your family and see if it works for ours as well. Also, if you have any other questions or things that maybe I didn't fully address, please leave those in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you